how's it going? Welcome back for another ASMR video. Today we're going to be doing another Overwatch VOD review. So this was sent in by two different people here. We're going to just kind of look at two matches and see what we can learn from their gameplay. And then I'm going to offer my just my thoughts on it and maybe some areas of improvement. I'd also like to add that one of the people who sent this in also had an ASMR channel, and her name is SERA, SERA, so it'll be cool to take a look at her match here. The second player, I've also had the pleasure to just in general chat a lot more about Mercy, so I'm always open to more VODs if you want to send them in. So all that said, let's take a deep breath, and we're going to just slowly drift into this match and get our head in the right place. So with Mercy, she's really a character that requires a lot of thinking. She doesn't have the same attacking abilities as the other characters, especially the supports. But what she does have is Res, which is one of the most powerful abilities. She has Valkyrie, which is extremely powerful. And her damage beam, with the right combination, is deadly. So she's a very powerful character at a high level as well. Like, you do see her used quite a bit. So I'm going to check this first play here, jumping into it. Okay. So, the first thing here, I think there wasn't a lot you could really do right there. I think healing the Ana was probably the right choice there. I'm a huge fan of healing your other healer. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice to any support that's struggling, is that it is crucial to keep up your tanks, but your other support allows you to heal more. So I think this was the right call. So I would say that let's see how this plays out, but just a little bit of a glitch there. Okay, you played that well. There wasn't a lot you could do. On that map, just to add, Reinhardts do tend to overcharge and push into that doorway a bit aggressively. Probably either it's too little or too much, so he should have taken an extra second to look back. Okay. It's not bad res at all. Okay, so I think... Okay, I'm gonna rewind here just a second. Pistoling. So, you were going for your Genji, but you kinda knew that he was gone. He was a bit deep in the enemy lines there. So I think one thing there is that in your heart you knew not to go, but because that's why you looked back. And that brings me to a greater point, I think, which I want to articulate here, which is that you're kind of at that struggle where, as a support, especially Mercy, you're because you have the res and you're kind of fairly mobile as well. You have Gardening Angel. I think that you have to sometimes decide, like, is this person like too far gone in terms of that they're out of position too far, because in this scenario you had to leave the team to go kind of help this Hanzo out, and so when I really take a step back, I think I would have not gone, and I would have stayed with the team. Let's just see where it goes from here. Alright, so your team kind of wiped here. And, again, I think that is one of those things you really just need to decide, like, do I go out of position with my team and maybe die on a YOLO mission like that, or do I stay with my team? For me, I tend to be a more conservative player in that regards. A lot of people might disagree with me here and say take the risk, but I think for me, to get to the GM, it was really about calculation of risks and risk reward. So in this instance, you're likely to die, but you're much more likely to, maybe you could have rezzed your Ana, you could have kept your Reinhardt up through that damage. So I think that is something to be considering when you're deciding which direction to go and everything. So that's sort of one of those things, again, as a support player, and really just in general. You have to decide, am I going with the team? And there are times when you should just go with the team, because again, sometimes the team will never get in position. So yeah, it's definitely a team wipe here. This is a tough one because you are kind of hidden in this corner. See, I would have probably just jumped off the cliff there, in all honesty, because you know what? They have a Hanzo, and if you see where he is, he could shoot a sonic arrow. They may not know that everyone's dead, or they may know it. But he might have seen you, and in which case he could have staggered you really hard. And those kind of 15-20 second plays can make a big difference. I think in the end of the day, it looks like you survived this and you made the right decision, but I strongly consider just wiping with your team when you can. At least when the risk is that you get caught behind enemy lines like this. You have Valkyrie? Okay, great. That was an offensive use of Valkyrie, which I like. I tend to do that myself. I think with support ults, it is good to be reactive, but sometimes you use it offensively and you can take the point. Okay, a lot of healing on that Rhine. So okay, that was nice. That was a really nice res. And I like that you used it for the healer as well. That might be biased. It looks like you're gonna get this point here. It is a bit of a madhouse here. Not your fault though, of course, but let's see here. So I'm just having a lot of difficulty following around with everything that's happening. It's sort of just people all over the place here, but it does look like this run connected a good shatter there. 2 down. Yeah, I think you unfortunately may have not capitalized on this one here. So I think one thing that you're doing well is that you are escaping. Okay. Okay, see, I might have been boosting so okay, I'm starting to see a few things that I'm gonna Just wait to see how this plays out here. So I think one thing that you're doing really well is that you're getting out alive. Staying alive is the hardest thing as Mercy, so that takes a lot of skill. But I see some moments where you're kind of have a little downtime. I think you could be boosting a little bit more. I mean, like damage boosting. Really have this philosophy where you're bringing out the strengths of your DPS. I think that's something here I would just immediately just stands out to me a little bit. Like the beams are a little bit I would say unsteady, like not consistent enough in my opinion. I'd look into your beam sensitivity a little bit, just mess with those settings maybe a little bit. That was a good take. Your DPS sort of switched around and seemed to do it. Okay, so we're continuing along here. It looks like you guys have taken the point, so your DPS did switch around and stuff, and that was really good. It's an interesting lineup right now, actually, you guys have there. You've got Junkrat, Tracer, Hanzo, Junkrat. So kind of interesting choice. It was a pretty good size shatter right there. Good forward movement there, I like that. Good follow through. Had a bit of a lag there. Okay, I like the okay, so you're doing a decent job here with boosting your Junkrat there. I would stay on him. One thing is when you're playing DPS, and I think this is something that is important for Mercy players to understand, because I think sometimes, Mercy takes a very special skill set, in my opinion, and it's different from a DPS player. I'm sure you play around with DPS too, but when you put that damage boost, I think it is good to be consistent, because especially like when you're on a SERA, but even on a Junkrat, they sort of get used to that movement and that damage, and I think you want to think about keeping your DPS in a rhythm. You see if that makes sense. And right there you were kind of just like mostly on him, but you did kind of switch a couple times. And that again might have to do with the beam sensitivity, but I would be very cautious about switching around too much. You want to allow your DPS to have some time to develop a rhythm there. So just a thought I had. Let's keep going. Great res. Oh, it looks like you got to take the... Yeah, excellent. You guys got that point. That was great. Very good take in the back there. Okay, they should probably group up. I would say you should probably not hold. Yeah, I would hold a little bit back right there, because you're exposing yourself just a little bit too much. Okay. So, I mean, I would say at this rank that Hanzo probably isn't going to get that shot, but if there's a Widow or Hanzo and Masters or above, maybe even Diamond, they can definitely get that shot when you're peeking kind of on the side there. So just definitely be positionally aware if you can. Try to just take the extra second to take a deep breath and be like, alright, where am I at? Where am I? Can the other sniper see me in this corner here? And if they can see you, then, or if you can see them, they can probably see you, is usually as the old saying goes. Let's see here. would say that let's see if you guys take this point. I think that was a mistake, probably right there. Just the pistoline, I would have probably held off on that. Again, a good Hanzo could have headshotted you pretty easily right there, I think, because he wasn't. You got away with it, but I would have just tried to stay with the team there. Okay. I mean, it looks pretty much like you guys have this. I'd be surprised if they are able to hold it. Okay, yeah, that was a good take. So, the things that I might have done differently here. Think about your beam usage, who it's on, when it's on them. Try to provide that consistent damage beam. Just a little bit more often, I'd like to see it. Just so that, again, if the DPS can get into a rhythm, then sometimes they can just carry the game. And so that's something, if you're taking it on and putting it back on, it can get hard for them to get into that flow. So yeah, that's something I would also say. Lastly, should I go YOLO in to save my teammate or not? I would say work on that question a little bit more for yourself and try to actively ask it. Like when you're in that situation where you went for the Hanzo, I'd be asking like, okay, there's a super jump right there. Should I do this? Should I go over here or should I just let him go? I think you wanted to help him, which was nice. Okay. Alright, I like the boost on the Junkrat. Okay. I might have just held, actually, in that instance, I might have just held the beam on the Junkrat and forgot, let the Rhine take a little more damage. You were picking up a little bit, I think you were doing minimal healing there, because he wasn't taking that much damage, so I think you would have gotten more charge, actually, from the Junkrat in that instance. So I think in your equation, when you're just deciding who to boost, you could be asking yourself, who's going to give me more charge here? It's just another variable to think about. I probably wouldn't have boosted that Ana there the couple times that you just did it. I would have tried to avoid that. The only time I would boost the Ana, that's unfortunate, would be to help her get her ult a little bit faster in terms of if you saw she's a little bit far off, but yeah, that extra 10%. I think that'd be great. Good res. Okay. That's one thing you're doing really well. You're resing your healer, you are taking care of your other healer. That's a really crucial skill. A lot of healers don't do that, and you'd be surprised. So, okay, we're gonna keep the team up there with the heal beams. Tracer is sorta, I'm not sure what she's thinking. They have a very strange dive that's sort of just staggered, and it does look like they're gonna get it anyway, but you know what? I take it back. It looks like it worked. It seemed, I guess there was some method to the madness. The Tracer did get 2 kills. I think it probably is. Okay, I like that you're staying back a little bit. That's really good. I mean, position is so crucial for Mercy. That was a great super jump there you did. So I think right there you did make the right decision. Like you super jumped. You were gonna go for the really fat res. Against your better judgment, you held off. I think that was the right decision. Even though you died, at least now you have the res, so if you need it. I would help your honor for sure here. Yeah, you know she's gonna get targeted by this ball. Oof, that was rough. Putting a lot of pressure on her, and I think with an Ana, you need to know when to switch. Unfortunately, she's so powerful, but when she gets really hard countered, it's really important for her to switch off. Okay, that was good for your Reinhardt's too. Had a good move there. Took a lot of space. You guys are overextended now. Really deep. That's really unfortunate. That's, I was just thinking, like, that's the classic Ryan, is makes a couple amazing plays, dives in, like, gets a little cocky, and then gets killed. And then you guys all wipe. That's usually how it goes with the Reinhardt. That's sort of the life of a Ryan. It's, you get all the judgment and none of the glory. Yeah, there's nothing you can do there. Alright, so we're moving on. Doing some thinking. Alright. Your Reinhardt is just, I'm not sure what he's thinking right now. He's shielding. So that does make it quite difficult. At the lower ranks, it can be tough as a support, because sometimes, like, if you just had the right teammates, maybe you could make, like, it wouldn't be this unfortunate. That said, it looks like he's holding it. Somehow he survived it. Okay. I guess I should have expected that. I like that you looked at the card. That was really crucial. They do have a ball, and so you just want to make sure the on is over there. Good. I'm glad that you came back here. Yeah, always taking that extra second, just glance back, take a look at your other healer. Because I do think in general, when I see especially Mercies, I do see them either get a little too focused on healing the tank, because the tank is a big target, it's easier that way. But yeah, your other support is really gonna help a lot. That was a good eye right there. You knew that ball was gonna try a little C9 in the back there. Alright. So, continuing. That's a bit of a bad charge there. You don't do a lot of Guardian Angel. Like you do play fairly actually, like you do play fairly conservatively, and I think that's really good to see that. I think that isn't something that's working to your advantage. I think, see, now I would wipe here, probably. You're gonna survive this, maybe. Alright, so the Reinhardt did manage to get you out of there. But I do think you aren't dying a lot. I mean, you are playing conservatively in that regard, and that's very smart. So I think where it's gonna come for you is some of the details here, who you're boosting when and what, because that's gonna really help finding rhythm with your DPS. This looks really close. We've got 36 seconds for your team and only 45 seconds for theirs. They look pretty far from the point too. Lucio's got beat. They've got a couple ults here. Alright, that was a big shatter. That was really huge of you, Ryan. Okay, I like that. I might have held that Guardian Angel there. You guys were up with the main tank down and the ball. Because I think they're going to get one more little push here. No, maybe not. 11 seconds left. They do have a ball, though. Yeah, let's see. Nah, I think you guys got this. That was really good. Really nice. Okay, great. That was a great victory. Really fun match. I think, for me, the things that really stood out were the details. Because, again, Mercy, it is the details that really make a difference. I think who you're boosting and when will be really crucial in helping elevate your gameplay. I think with Mercy, she's a character that little details matter a lot because she doesn't have the same skill set that maybe some of the other characters on the roster have. I think we're going to dive into this other gameplay and see if we can't find some common themes, but for you specifically, I think who you're boosting when and this idea of using your boost to create a rhythm for your DPS, because again, if they can consistently get that damage, then like with an Ashe or a Pharah, then they can really make an impact on the match. So that's the parts that I would really focus on. And I think also deciding on when you're going to cut the cord with regards to do I just go with the team here when they're making a bad decision and try to keep them alive, or do I just cut the losses and say, you know what, I'm just going to go with the team and wait. I would say just a 1% scenario, but when you did have that point when you were hidden, I would probably have jumped off the cliff and just wiped with the team. It's one of those things, like, again, Alta Hanzo could have gotten a Sonic Arrow, and I can't express, maybe that wouldn't happen 100% of the time. But it definitely would happen, every couple, dozen matches or at 10 matches. So that's, a 10%. That's going to be right there, the 30 points you need to hit Diamond or Masters. So those little details do matter. I think your positioning was good in terms of you did expose yourself to potential sniper fire when you go up against some more talented opposition. But I also think that you stayed alive, which is the most important thing. So all that said, I think you did a really good job, and there's a lot of room for improvement there, actually, in terms of you have a really good foundation, and I think just working on your decision-making process and just really understanding the other characters so that you can hone in on the timing, I think that would really help. And again, because Mercy's all about bringing out the best in her teammates, in my opinion. So not, I don't want to feel like I'm nitpicking, but those would be the areas I think you could work on. I hope that helps you with some general philosophy, some areas to think about as you move forward. And thank you so much for sending this in. And that now brings us to our next video, which is from, I'm not sure if they want me to mention their name, but in the match here, it is No Mercy. So that's a great name for another Mercy match. So let's go ahead and dive into that match and see if there's some things we can learn and even more additional philosophy for us to talk about, because again, Mercy is a lot about philosophy and just overall big brain gameplay. She's not a character that is just like, hold your trigger down. So let's go ahead and take a look at that one. The next match we have here is going to be on Ilios, and I believe it's probably a fairly similar range, although I believe this might be Diamond. So again, a little bit higher rank. It's not going to be like top 500s in GM, so I think it'll be really applicable in terms of what's kind of going on in that skill rank. So without further ado here, we're going to jump here. We have a Ana, Doomfist, McCree, Ball, Mercy, Diva, and then we've got a Doom, McCree, and we'll just launch this here. Ana, slowly they're sort of choosing. Now, I think with what you have here, we have a Diva Ball, so I think that's, if it was me, just off the top of my head, I'd probably go Moira, just because she can do a lot of spam heals. She really could get a huge ult charge. That would be my choice, but probably because I'm good at Moira. But the thing with Mercy is she only has so much heals here. I like the entry here, it looked good. Okay, so 1-for-1. That was a good rest technique. I like that. You kind of didn't expose yourself. I'd like to probably just pause here really quick because I think one thing that was done really well here is when you were positioned on the res, you weren't in the line of sight of any, potential enemies. So that was really well done. Okay. Good little jump there. This is one of those things, I think, just taking the extra second on beam control. I think we saw that in the last game, where, as a Mercy, she has less, skills in comparison to maybe some DPS or something like that. But the skills she does have are very important, and the beam is like one of her crucial abilities. So who the beam is on is very important, especially damage boost at a high rank. So right here we can just see her damage boosting the Diva. I think your thinking was that you'd help increase the ult charge and get her tank mech back. With the change that's going into the effect, I think there's 250 damage for each mech call on the experimental server. We'll see. I could see that being more useful because she's gonna then all of a sudden get that additional damage. But if it was me, I'd probably would have kept the damage beam on the McCree, just because potentially, first of all, he would be alive and probably have more freedom right now, and therefore be doing more damage. The Diva is being boosted kind of, in my opinion, in a crucial time. I might have just done it at a time when you're kind of in between fights, actually. So let's keep going. I think it's good. Okay. That was a good take. You did get the Diva back. And you do have 2 main healers, so that's really good. You do have enough output ultimately to maintain the tanks and everything. Alright, so we are boosting the McCree. That is really good. I like that. I would have probably just left that. Stay on the McCree, let him develop. Again, I did mention that in the last VOD, but I think allowing your DPS to develop a rhythm can be really helpful, because I know when I play DPS, like, it throws me off when I have the boost and then I don't have the boost. I have to adjust my playstyle kind of quickly. So I think in this instance, I might have stayed on the McCree and let the Ana deal with those two tanks right there. Alright, but let's see how this next fight unfolds here. So again, I think what I would do, I think the focus might have been better served healing the squishies here, healing your Ana, damage boosting your McCree. I think normally I like to heal my tanks as a mercy. It gives you a lot of charge, but your Ana, I think, might be better equipped for that scenario. So I might have put my focus there instead. So let's see how this plays out. But yeah, I wouldn't have gone for that res too. I mean, I think so in those two instances, I think just that extra like second of thought where you're like, okay, what am I doing? Do I want to do this? No. Yes. Whatever the decision is, I think you go for it. I can see there you sort of panicked and you went to go res that other Ana. So I think just the extra second of thought, like, should I go here? No. I might have just jumped off the cliff there, actually, because you knew you were dead almost. Again, knowing when to wipe is a skill, because you're denying the other team ult charge, and you're creating you know, more coordination with your team, because you're going to reset at the same time as them. Good damage boost on this McCree. Keep, you know, to stay in that rhythm. That was unfortunate. Wasn't a lot that can be done there. Okay. So I would definitely, I think right there we can see a little. Okay, so actually here's a moment right here. Let's actually rewind for just a second here, and we can see here that you've got this beam on your diva. Your diva has full health. We can see that there. Let's just play it out. So we can see right there, that's a perfect example. You've got a healing beam on your diva. She has full health. A damage beam on that McCree would have been very useful. You do put it back on him, but I think that was a lost opportunity there. Just those small details. Okay, but I may be nitpicking, but you are in the diamond, so, you know, I think that's really crucial in terms of ranking up. Those small details do add up. And I mean, if you imagine you do that every play, or every, you know, half the plays that you make, even 10%, and then you add up that game time, that actually adds up to, like, you know, could be 30 seconds, could be a minute, 2 minutes extra time that you could be doing something else that would be, like, really help your team. I think you were a little close to the action here. I would say in this I mean, this is a hard map to position as Mercy, because you're kind of in the thick of it or you're not. But I would have probably held out a little bit more onto that right side where the Mega is, so you have an escape route. I think just that's one of the things that really both players, I think, could work on, is having some awareness about your escape route. How am I going to get out of this? Because that can be really crucial right there. Let's just see though what happens. Sort of a really wild sort of Valkyrie. It looks like it may actually work out here. Let's see, stay if you would stay on that Hanzo there. Yeah, so I would have. I think right there we could just take a second because I don't know that this was the wrong decision, but when you're rezzing, I think as Mercy, like, you want to be thinking about who you're rezzing, because sometimes there's times you're going to want to res somebody else, and in this instance we can see your diva died right afterwards. So, and also when you are rezzing, you're not healing, so again, you're kind of taking yourself out for a couple seconds. So I think that res, maybe upon second investigation, I might not have done, and I would have maybe focused on the diva there, saved it for a healer or tank. That was really good. Good damage boost. See, I would be doing more of this and enabling your McCree like this. I don't know if you saw that, but when you were really consistently on him, it really enabled him. You could see he felt confident, and he was going in there getting some kills. Does look like this is going to be a lost cause. Yeah, it was already over at that point. So I think on this round it was actually really well done, but the couple things that I noticed there were just sort of small details, but I think with Mercy, details matter. So I think beam selection, again, is a recurring theme that we're seeing. Just be aware as much as possible about which beam you're putting out and to who, because again, like, that's one of your crucial normal abilities, and so how you're using it really does affect your gameplay. So I would say just spend that extra second thinking about who you're putting it on and why. And then again, as in Mercy, in this scenario, you do have a lot of meaty characters, meaty tanks, and I think a Moira, on the character selection, a Moira could have been useful here. I like that you're with the McCree here. Doesn't seem to be getting results. So I think that is something to think about as Mercy, is who you're boosting, and I think I like how you're kind of playing with him right now. Overall, though, you're going to want to identify your strong link in your team and try to really enable that person. Okay, so we're continuing here. I think the Ana might want to make a switch too, which doesn't seem to be getting good results. They're getting picked off in the back there. And it may be a result of having basically no front line here. You've got a hog and a ball. That's a little bit rough for a back line like Ana Mercy. So maybe in that scenario I would step back and think to myself, okay, we have no cover, so we're basically being left to fend for ourselves. So Mercy's pretty good with that, but the Ana's pretty in a bad position, I would say. But I think in character selection, maybe providing the Ana with a little bit of assistance too as a secondary support could have helped. But I would say the imperative probably would have been on the Ana to switch there. Good boosting on the Hanzo there. I would stay there. I would stay there, let him take the high ground. I think that flyover was a bit risky. We can just go back here real fast. He just sort of crossed over. I think that could have penalized. You could have been penalized for that. The opposing team did have a pretty good line of sight of you there. looks like you're gonna pull this one off here. So you know, I think in terms of Guardian Angel, you know, you have to be careful, and that was one instance of it. I don't think it's been so bad at all, actually, in terms of exposing yourself with that. Right. I would say that probably, I think in that instance, it was really tempting to boost that Hanzo, but that did put you at risk. I would have probably focused on positioning in that situation right there. And I don't know that he needed the damage boost. Only because a boosted Hanzo like that is gonna kill anything anyway, so I might have focused on the McCree there, or your Ana. Alright. Moving along. It's another one of those full court ults there. I do think that your ults have actually been pretty, like, good in a sort of all-star kind of way, if that makes sense. They have been risky, but they happen to have paid off pretty well. I would be cautious about, I probably would have used them in different scenarios. Just in terms of statistically, you might have been better served using them in more situations you can control. Looks like you guys won that round. I can see, you know, that little, actually, let's just look at that real quick here. This end here, I want to, okay. Well, I just wanted to see because it is just something to throw on there, but you want to have the right sensitivity with the pistol, just because, again, you can get some ult charge there. I do see a lot of focus on heals, which I really do like. Less pistoling than the last Mercy. I'm not big on pistoling. I do think the great Mercies do know when to use it better. I just tend to be more heal body, a heal bot. But I think just on your own, I think maybe trying to utilize the pistol would be really useful. At times, but again, I think as you get to higher rank, you use it less and less when you have good DPS. Alright, so we're moving forward here. Good headshot with your Widow. I probably would have actually given my Widow a boost on that first shot. I think just good practice with Mercy is that when Widow does push in for that first push, I find that a couple, like some damage boosting on her, especially with those long range shots, can be really helpful. I just want to double check to make sure. Let's see if you did it. Doesn't look like you did. I think I would have gone with the Widow here just because she has such range, and certain maps. This one also, King's Row, I find, Junkenstein's or Junkertown are all really are really good maps to help Widow out with her snipes like that. So okay. I like that. So you're doing a lot better with boosting the McCree here, which is really, really good. I think in terms of your first round, it seems like you might have been a little bit rusty in that first round. You are being a little more consistent, especially helping McCree. Maybe it's because you realized they're getting some results. So I would be using the Widow as a escape, if you can. Oh, wow, that was a big play by your ball right there. I'm not seeing a lot of like excessive guardian angeling. That I think you mentioned that in the email, but I haven't seen it too badly here. Okay, I like that Widow boost. Okay, this looks like you guys are going to win this last round pretty handily. You looked close in the first round there, but I would have probably not used the ult there. I think you were going to wipe regardless. Good res right there. Good use of the pillar. You got unlucky, unfortunately, but I think it looked like you were going to get that pull that off. That could have been a really big play. Unfortunately, the Zarya got you. It looks like you guys are going to hold this. Can we get back in time? It looks like we did. Excellent. So I think the thing I see is just that, especially the team that you have really impacts your Mercy play. I mean, we compared the two Mercies, and the first Mercy had to make different decisions. We'll talk about this if the match ends here. It looks like it might be over. That was a little close call. I probably would have stayed back to pistol a little bit, but it looks like it was over anyway. So that was a really good victory. I think the most important things to focus on are going to be, again, the beam, damage beam, healing beam prioritization, swapping if you need to Moira or secondary heals. I didn't see a lot of issues with your Guardian Angel. I think that prioritizing who your strong player is, I think you did recognize that by the last round. I think also that an area that you could work on is just when to use the res, and again, deciding between going with squishies versus tanks. I think you probably could have been better served really in the first round, especially focusing on those squishies. Your Ana, I think, is better equipped to handle the big tanks. But at Diamond, we did see there's some differences. It is, again, all about the details. But when I really look at the two Mercies, the thing that stands out is the team that you're playing with. Our first Mercy friend, SERA, she was stuck with a team that was just kind of a split. So gold to diamond, there are definitely some big differences. Diamond players, some of them have really great technical skill. Maybe their game sense is not quite as good. But I think at Diamond you're pretty much expected to know how to play your character and the sort of some general team coordination. At Gold, I think it is more all man's for himself, or all people for themselves. And that makes it really hard as Mercy. And you could see, like, I just remember the play with Hanzo where, Sarah had to decide between sort of helping that Hanzo and staying with their team. And that kind of just in itself caused a huge conundrum. So, in the second game, you could see the team was more organized. And I think that that's one of those things that for Mercy is really hard at lower ranks. You're kind of stuck with enabling your team, and if your team is bad, then you can only make them so good. The second Mercy, on the other hand, had more luxury in that regards. Overall, both players did really well, and they should be very proud of their gameplay. And there's a lot of room for improvement for both. And and mostly in the details. Again, I think Mercy's a game sense player, a player that requires focus on details. A lot of players might say Mercy doesn't require skill, but the reality is there are great Mercies and there are bad Mercies, and I've seen both. So there's definitely some talent there, and it's just a different type of skill set. So the things I would do differently are just really taking a deep breath and spending that extra second on which decision you're making and why. And that's really going to help with a Mercy player. I think also strategizing about just the competitive nature of, who are you grouping up with and things like that make a really big difference. If you have a great DPS you can boost consistently and they get kills, then you're going to be in a huge advantage. So that's what I would say overall. So hopefully there was some distinctions there, and for both, I think there's a lot of room for upward momentum. So, work on some of those things. And overall, thank you so much for sending these in. And I hope that you all have a really great rest of your evening or day, depending where you are. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.